Look, I support people who tell the truth, who have high moral character, and who protect and defend our democracy. There is a reason why the pundits are disconnected from the American people, where we have been documenting over and over again how former Republicans have left the party because the party has left them with the extremism of Donald Trump. I started getting hundreds, then thousands, and tens of thousands, and over 100,000 messages, at least, from former Republicans, people who previously voted for Trump, who can no longer do that. Maybe they held their nose in 2016. Some held their nose twice in 2016 and 2020, but they've recognized the threat posed by MAGA, by Donald Trump, and you all have shared your stories here. So share your story in the comments below, or stories of family members, colleagues, neighbors, coworkers. And if you'll allow me to, I want to share stories with you of people who previously supported or voted for Trump, who have now left because they know what a threat he is and that MAGA is to our democracy. And then let me show you some clips that prove that point, and share this video with people that you know as well who may have similar stories, and put your comments below. Share your stories in the comments below. B. Graff writes, my dad was a Fox News addict and voted Trump in 2016. Soon thereafter, I was pleasantly shocked to hear him call Trump the idiot and chief. Mac writes, my sister is a Republican. She voted for Trump in 2016 and in 2020. She told me earlier this year that she is voting for Biden. So proud of her, vote blue. Farron writes, I know my ex, who was an ex-military man and voted for Republicans all his life. Now he hates Donald Trump and left the Republican Party, voted for Biden, and will vote again this year. Jerry writes to me, Ben, I've always considered myself an independent. I have leaned Republican most of my adult life. I voted for Trump in 2016 and quickly regretted my vote. I have watched not only Trump, but most of the Republican Party turn into something that I don't even recognize. At this point, I will never vote Republican again. I think it is shameful that the Republican Party continues to support Trump, the least qualified person ever to be or run for POTUS. I left the Republican Party. I voted for him for the first time. I'm an independent now, says somebody else. At Ladybug writes, just went online, changed from Republican to Democrat. I'm 80 and no longer a Republican. Kurt writes, I was a lifelong Republican and former senior military officer who voted for Trump in 2016 and quickly regretted it. I became a proud Rhino never Trumper after January 6th, and I became increasingly critical of the Republican Party and its refusal to acknowledge the continuing dysfunction and continued support of this criminal and threat to the Republic. Accordingly, I became a Democrat on September 29, 2023, and have not looked back. Larry writes, I'm in Arizona now, a purple state, and last week we had an unofficial polling among a few coworkers, and the results were 30% in favor of Trump. The interesting part of it is when these guys saw the underwhelming support for Trump, they started rethinking their position out loud. This is good news. Dawn writes, my husband voted for him twice. It strained our marriage. After January 6th, he started listening to the rhetoric, and he swore to me he would never vote again. I got more comments I want to share, but let me show you this clip from Donald Trump in Virginia. First, you can see right there a fairly empty crowd that Donald Trump spoke to in Virginia on Friday, and Donald Trump there attacked his own former chief of staff, a very well-respected general named John Kelly. And John Kelly had said publicly that Donald Trump called those who have died fighting for our country in the military suckers and losers. And because Donald Trump's own former chief of staff, a well-respected general, military person, said that Donald Trump attacked him at the debate and attacked him at the speech and called him a fool and an idiot. Here's what Donald Trump said about General John Kelly. Play the clip.
General Kane, right? Raising Kane. You know that story, Raising Kane. He was great, great general, real general, not the television. We have a lot of television generals. They're no good. Like Billy. How about Billy? We had some, like the dumbest of them all, General Kelly. He didn't know. He was lost in the White House. That poor guy didn't know what the hell was happening. He was like a lost, we used to call him a lost soul.
And that should just be a glaring red flag to anyone who cares about normalcy, who cares about our democracy, who cares about the truth, who cares about law and order. Let me show you one other clip of Donald Trump from that speech in Virginia. Here, Donald Trump talks about electrical planes and how if the sun isn't out, the planes are going to crash. Like, what is he even talking about here? Play this clip.
These guys, you'll never get them done. You'll never get them done. They don't have any clue. All they know is electric. They want electric army tanks. They want electric planes. What happens if the sun isn't shining while you're up in the air? Well, sir, I told you there'd be problems, sir. No, they want electric everything. They want electric boats. The problem, the boats, they don't float because the battery is so heavy, it sinks the boat. They say, we don't care. We want them anyway.
He's not talking about how to deliver things for we the people. He's not talking about jobs. He's not talking about healthcare. He's not talking about any issue. He's not talking about protecting veterans. He's not talking about protecting seniors. He's not talking about Social Security. He's not talking about these. He's not talking about education. He's not talking about childcare. He's not talking about any of these things. He's talking about weird stuff, praising dictators, attacking his own former chief of staff. Here's another comment from James McLaughlin, writes, I held my nose and voted for Trump in 2016. I have always leaned conservative and hoped that an outsider would be beneficial to America. Knowing what I know now, I would like to apologize to my fellow Americans, specifically for the Supreme Court appointments. Never again will I vote for a MAGA candidate. And follow some of the other coverage we've done on those Supreme Court rulings, saying that January 6th insurrectionists can't be charged with obstruction of official proceedings. The decision to overrule the Chevron precedent, which basically destroys the ability of any administrative agencies to function. The recent decision by the Supreme Court to block the EPA's good neighbor rule to stop pollution in states that are polluting states. Much more too we discussed. Hey, I'll be back to that report in just a second, but while I have you, I want to bring more attention to a topic I know the Midas Mighty has been asking we talk more about, and that's the climate. Now, I know you've already heard plenty about Project 2025 and the threat it poses to American democracy, but have you heard about Project 2025's threat to the planet? And do you wonder why Trump keeps telling those bizarre stories like this at his rallies to try to turn people against electric vehicles? Here, play the clip.
Do I get electrocuted if the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking? Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted? Or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted?
Look, Project 2025, led by the Heritage Foundation and Trump allies, aims to undo President Biden's climate and clean energy achievements. You know, I'm a data person, and unsurprisingly, when you actually look at the data, you quickly see that it's heavily backed by big oil. Of the 105 groups in Project 2025, nearly 2/3 have ties to the oil and gas industry, with over half receiving funding from it. Since 2020, these groups have received more than $50 million, with $7 million in 2022 alone. Key funders include the Sarah Skay Foundation, contributing nearly $17 million, and the Koch family network adding over $26 million. You literally have oil and gas industry lobbyists writing these plans in Project 2025. Look, we can't allow the progress we've all made to be rolled back, so I thought it was important to share this with you and that you share it with others. It's important we keep this conversation about the climate going. We'll continue to follow the money, and as always, follow the data. Now let's get back to our report. Thanks for watching that. Joe writes, my aunt is a lifelong Republican and voted for Trump in 2016 and 2020. She's so disgusted by the party and by Trump now that she's either voting for Biden this year or just not voting for a presidential candidate. She's also switching her party registration from Republican to Independent. I think January 6th and everything Trump has said thereafter was the last straw for her. She's a smart woman, and I'm thrilled to see this. Trump's candidacy in 2016 also shifted me from being an independent to a registered Democrat, and I'm proud of it. Karen writes, I don't know if my MAGA friends have switched, but they have stopped posting Trump propaganda on Facebook. A neighbor has taken down their Trump flag that was there for years. Another comment. My mom was a lifelong Republican and voted for Trump in 2016. And after a short time of him being in office, she told me she had made a mistake and was deeply sorry that she did. She never told me what he did to change her mind, but I think it was a combination of things. She voted with me for Biden in 2020. Robe writes, my family are of Cuban heritage and my father a lifelong Republican who also came to the country because of an actual communist dictatorship and voted for Trump in 2016 has now refused to vote conservative again, especially after January 6th and the way Trump handled COVID. We need to keep the Mango Mussolini out of office. Vote blue. It may just save our lives. Want to show you this clip right here of Adam Kinzinger, a Republican, a real conservative, who supports President Biden. Watch what he says when he's on CNN. Play this clip.
Congressman Kinzinger, you just endorsed President Biden the day before the debate.
How's that going for you?
I'm just wondering, any regrets about that? Or, I mean, how do you see this? You were a Republican.
Look, David, listen, man. You know what I'm proud of? I'm proud that I'm not standing here sitting on a stage supporting a man who is a habitual liar, who couldn't tell the truth, who pretended like the January 6th committee deleted all evidence, and it's on the frickin' internet. He has a defense team that can also come up with whatever evidence they want. So
read you this other comment right here from T-Shadow6. Trump lost my support when he claimed the election was rigged. I quit the Republicans because of January 6th. I'm now registered as a libertarian. I will vote Democrat this November for president to dog catcher. You know, one of the points that Kinzinger raised as well is, like, it's so easy to show that Donald Trump is lying. Like, how do these people love being lied to by him? He goes, the January 6th committee destroyed all of the evidence. What are you talking about? It's archived right now. The MAGA Republicans stopped it for the January 6th website from functioning, so it got moved to an archive by the National Archives, but you could Google the January 6th documents. They're all online. They're publicly available now. You know, one of the things that Donald Trump said also is that Nancy Pelosi was responsible for January 6th. I mean, again, how could anybody like to just be treated so stupidly that Donald Trump is saying that Nancy Pelosi was trying to, coordinate her own assassination? Like, what in the world are you talking about? Here's what Nancy Pelosi had to say. Play this clip.
Compared to a person who was lying the whole time, we saw integrity on one side and dishonesty on the other. That's how I saw it.
And what do you say to former President Trump, who blames you for January 6th and says you didn't take his offer for the National Guard?
He thinks I planned my own assassination. He's sicker than I thought.
You know, also Donald Trump just doesn't believe in things like climate change, like pretty basic things. Here, play this clip.
That's your threat, and we don't even talk about it. We never even met. Can you imagine this guy saying global warming is the greatest threat to our country? Global warming is fine. In fact, I heard it was going to be very warm today. It's fine. It's fine.
And let me just compare and contrast that, though, to President Biden's speech in North Carolina. Here's what President Biden had to say. Play this clip.
Close with this. I know I'm not a young man. State the obvious. Well, I know. Well, I don't. Folks, I don't walk as easy as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth. I know right from wrong. And I know how to do this job. I know how to get things done. And I know, like millions of Americans know, when you get knocked down, you get back up.
So judge for yourself and look, share your stories below. If you've left the Republican Party because the party has left you, if you were a prior Trump voter and you're going to be voting for President Biden this time and you no longer support Donald Trump, or you know someone, friend, family member, colleague, neighbor, coworker, whoever, put it in the comments below. Share that story. I'll read those stories, as many as I can, like I did here. And look, for me, politics is about we the people. Politics is about principles and values, and I want to hear from candidates what they're going to do for the people. What are they going to do for the American people? President Biden, as he says in that clip I showed you, he's not a good speaker anymore. He stutters. He's older than he was before. We shouldn't be ageist. Like, the fact that the media just so normalizes ageism pisses me off. I'm being totally blunt. Like, it's not okay at all. We respect people for their age, not demean them. But Biden acknowledges he used to be a great debater. He's not a great debater anymore. He just isn't. But he talks about the issues. He talks about how to help. He has principles. He has values. It's not me, me, me. He's talking about we the people. Well, let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million subscribers. And I want to share more of these stories. Let's connect these stories with other people. Let's hear from you. Thanks for watching and have a good day.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.